Alright, more Empyrion finally. Let's build a capital vessel for Alpha 10. Affordable and good looking, of course. Here we go. First we place our CV starter block above the platform so we have some gravity while we build. We start with a hangar because it's the most bulky part of the ship. And because we don't want it to look like all the other capitals out there, we use ramps as hangar doors. Sadly, they are not airtight, so we have to place some force fields to keep the air inside. This isn't a big deal in general, but adds some exotic resource requirements. If you want to use this vessel as a starter, then just replace the ramps with a standard hangar door and save it as a new blueprint. Problem solved. For now, we leave it like this. But we do a quick check with a standard HV if our doors are big enough. They are, so let's continue. We finished the hangar's outer hull and then we built some kind of scaffolding for the warp drive. It's the second most bulky thing we need to place, so it goes inside the hangar where we don't need to care about how much space we waste. As you can see, I am building a combination of standard steel blocks and plastic blocks for non-exposed or non-vital areas. This keeps the cost of the vessel down and is not as problematic as before because we can add a shield now. With the warp drive placed and encapsulated, it emits heat and radiation you don't want inside your ship, we can now close the roof. We use some of the new blocks which allow us to keep the height of the vessel low. Looks more streamlined this way. Disclaimer, this is not for PvP but for PvE. In PvP you can't get away with such a thin layer of armor, but it's okay for PvE. So now that the hangar is done, we build a connection to the main section of the capital vessel. The hull has to narrow down on this point, else it would look like a space brick instead of a shiny, sleek, high-tech sci-fi ship. Here I think a long nose like a 60s Corvette would look quite nice. And it does. We need to double check the proportions though, or it will tilt too much to the front in visual terms. Looks fine, so let's do a proper connection of the two sections. Alright, we're done. Let's build a roof like the one on the hangar, and of course a floor to walk on and place all of our interior later. Now comes the hard part, the front, or in other words, the ship's nose. I plan to use heavy windows, so that's what we do. One inspiration I always find fitting for spaceships are marine organisms. In this case I remembered a species of whale or some kind of ray, which has a quite fitting look. I can't remember its name though. Go on and tell me in the comments if you know which one I meant. Well, we got lucky. That's a perfectly fine looking front on the first try. Never happened before with any of my builds. Now just add some antennas to represent hardpoints for some guns later in the tech tree. Remember, we want to build an affordable, kinda low-tech vessel. Okay, let's do some interior work. There's enough space in the hangar to house all the fuel tanks, so we put them on the left and right walls. Under the warp drive is enough space for an engine room, and there's where some generators are going. And finally we built a nice corridor to connect the hangar with the rest of the ship. As the corridor walls are just cosmetic, remember to use plastics. It's lighter and cheaper to produce. Back to the outside again. We now have power and fuel tanks. Next up are the engines. Remember, you need thrust for all directions, which means forward, backward, up, down, strafe left and strafe right. A big delta wing would match the ship's overall looks, so that's what we built. A wing made out of thrusters. In the end, we put some more reverse thrusters on the top of the wings. And then we build an actual wing to create a fluid look of the ship's hull. We use plastics again, it's just cosmetic. And we're done. Now let's place some turrets. We don't want to spoil our nice look, so we use retractable ones. No CV is complete without some cannons to defend your mining operations or shoot drones while you're exploring. We sink them a bit into the hull. Looks nice. With that done, let's take a look at the wings again. They are too small and we need a better connection to the main hull. So we mess around a little bit. Looks shitty. We need a sharper angle. Remove it all. Build new stuff. Here we go. Better. We're gonna add it to the bottom as well. Alright, perfect. Let's take a look at what we've achieved so far. Looks good, doesn't it? Next up are some landing gears. Luckily we got some retractable ones as well, so we don't have to use the ugly as hell static old ones. 2 at the front, here we go, and 2 at each wing. What's missing too is an elevator up to the landing pad, so we add one as well. Of course we hide it behind a door and some glass windows because looks. What I forgot to show you is that I quietly placed the O2 supply right over the main corridor. Don't forget these tanks as well, you won't be able to store fresh air without them. Below the fuel tanks is some more unused space. That's where we place 2 cargo controllers and cargo blocks on each side of the vessel. They will be used as input and output containers for the 2 main constructors. Okay, that's all fine, but before we continue, let's do a quick test if we have enough thrust and land on the nearby planet. Okay, let's add some more fuel tanks and another scaffolding to make things look more realistic. Well, that's the basic vessel. What follows now is a ton of interior work. Let's skip this part because the command center alone would probably be another video. Maybe I'll do a synopsis with interior design tips later this month. What we need to do now is make the outer hull more interesting. So we add some wind tunnels and other aerodynamic stuff just to improve looks. We also put some tiny flaps on the rear of the ship. That's a perfect spot for 2 sentry turrets to keep the entrance and our cargo safe. Of course we picked the retractable ones too. Alright, we're done. Now we just need to paint the ship. This took another 2 or 3 hours. Luckily we can speed up the process here. And that's it. Ship's ready to fly. I hope you drew some inspiration for your own builds out of this video. If you want to try out the vessel in Empyrion, then check the description below for a Steam Workshop link. And remember to give it some thumbs up if you like it. That's it for today. If you found the video to be helpful or enjoyed it in any other way, then feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Share it if you want to help me grow my channel. Thumbs down if you'd rather mine an asteroid with your face than have to watch this video again. Thanks for stopping by and see you next time.